Good evening, folks. Tonight we're going to diagnose what happened on my water cooling system. I've already torn it apart a little bit, drained out some of the crap in it. You can see this nice pink patina that it took on. I bought the radiator for this thing used from somebody on an online forum, and they had used a red dye in their system apparently previously, so when I hooked it up it just started running pink almost immediately. And the server case doesn't have a window on it, so I don't normally pay attention to the color, so it ran that and I never bothered to change it. Let's see, my SwiftTech block, I've had two of these since SwiftTech really started up being a thing. I actually have two older blocks than this. In fact, I could probably find them, but maybe that's for a different episode. But yeah, this guy, I had two of these running on a pair of Athlon XP 1700s overclocked to 2500s, running in an old dual socket AMD motherboard. So both those water cooled with these blocks, and then a Radeon 9800 Pro. I was a digital gangster back in the day. Thought I was pretty hot shit. Yeah, I've had these blocks since. They've been with me from several more AMDs through a couple of i5s and i7s now. So it's been a trooper, but I think one of the O-rings in here finally gave up the ghost. You can still see some of the deposits that are left on it from where it leaked. So yeah, we're going to tear into this guy and see what the condition is inside and try to get these fittings out. If I can get them out without damaging them too bad, I might see about just tapping these for an actual real pipe thread instead of these plastic, I don't know, quick connects, fittings, or whatever the purpose of these was. But right now we need to find an Allen to take out these tiny little screws that hold the lid on it. Too big. Too small. Ooh, too big. And too small. Well, shit, so this is an odd size. Alright. Now let's start digging. When in doubt, multi-tool it. Now, what do you think the odds are that none of these fit? Oh, too big. Well, apparently pretty good. Well, don't worry, folks. I have more than enough bags of these. We'll go through every one if we have to. Oh. Haha! Bingo! Alright. So when I get these off, and then I took these off years ago, so I know that there's a gasket inside there. I'll see about getting those out, and then either make a new gasket or use RTV. I haven't quite decided yet. Guess we'll see what we find inside first. I know this is kind of old school looking stuff. I guess all the cool kids these days, they just buy the ready to go kits. The like SwiftTech and Zalman, Cooler Master, they all make pre-made kits. It's all enclosed, just bolt it onto the processor and mount it where the fan goes. Give it power. This one's a little more old school, a little more industrial. Not as industrial as the oldest setup that I used to have. When I had the dual AMD MP hack things. I actually had an Eheim, I believe it was, 1250, the big ass pond pump, which put out a ridiculous amount of flow, and it ran on its own separate 120. So I had two plugs going into the back of the computer. One for the water pump and then one for the power supply. And it actually worked really well. I don't have any complaints about it. However, it did end up killing the system because I forgot that it was separate. And I unplugged it once to vacuum, I believe it was, and forgot to plug it back in. So the system stayed running, but the water pump didn't. And this is back with Athlon XPs. They didn't have throttling. They would cook themselves alive. And that's exactly what they did. Melted the fittings right on top of the heatsink. I mean, it was pretty bad. Destroyed everything, of course. But nowadays, like this pump here runs on the 12 volt from the power supply. So you don't normally end up in that situation anymore. And the last one out here. So some of those are pretty hard to get out. I don't know if they got corrosion. Yeah, actually looking at them, they do look corroded, so there's water been leaking in the base, at least. Let's see if that'll come off. That might need a little persuasion. See if a love tap will knock it off. Nope. That is on there good. Let's see. You got a knife in there? Be gentle. Don't want to slice our hands open. And I'm having to call your mom to come out. I want to be careful with the knife too, because this is aluminum and copper, which are both relatively soft. I don't want to gouge out that mating surface too bad. That is on there really good. Let's see, any other bright ideas? Damn. No, that sucker's on there good. Wow. It's got to be corroded. There's no way that paper gasket should hold like that. Come on, you bastard. There we go. Look at that. Fancy camera mount to the rescue. So we want to be gentle with this. I don't want to destroy the aluminum housing. I just want it snug. So I can give this a few good thwacks and see if we can't knock it loose. Yeah, that worked well. Nope. Didn't even put a dent in it either. Jesus. Cannot believe how strong that's in there. Oh, we knocked it loose. Look at that. All right. Cool. So not a complete failure. All right. So let's see if we can't get this top off. Oh, that already looks great. Whoa, yummy. It's like wet cat litter. Yeah, that's supposed to be copper. Well, I mean, it is copper, but wow. That's bad. Like I said, it hasn't been opened in 13 years, something like that, so sure it's seen better days. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, and the gasket's just stuck to everything. Ugh. Yeah, that's that's terrible. Oh, I'm an awful overclocker. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, kids, let that be a lesson why you want to make sure you clean out your system regularly and maintain it, because that's pretty darn terrible. You can imagine what the inside of the pump and the radiator looks like. Ah, it smells terrible too. Ugh. Well, let's go grab some cleaning supplies and see if we can't get this to look a little bit better. Alright, going to use some of the good old rock ghosts and clean up the insides of these and all this fin. Ugh. Hopefully this comes clean. I've got a wire wheel and a wire brush here. Hope clean that up too. I'm going to douse it first and see if we can't get it to break any of that up. Actually, a lot of that that's goopy. That'll come right off. Let's do that before I put the chemicals on. Now I'm spritzing the hose. Got a lot of the loose stuff out. The pressure nozzle got the majority out. There's a little junk on it again from the work surface here. I was thinking I was gonna reuse this, but I don't think I can. I'm gonna try to show you down inside here. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up a little bit there. If you can see on the edge here, this is pitted. It's completely eaten away by the electrochemical reaction in there. Focus, focus. But yeah, there's no way that I want to reuse that. And it's even, oh yeah, you can see it. There's the failure. Look at that. It actually ate a hole in the top of the block. It wasn't the fitting. It was the top of the block had eaten clean through. You can see the little hole right there. So that was the whole problem. So yeah, there's no way that this is going to be salvageable, which really sucks. I liked having it around, but so let that be a lesson. Let that be a lesson to you kids. Make sure that you clean out your systems, maintain them. I thought this was anodized; it was going to protect it, but apparently not. Yeah, I brought the vinegar out and everything to clean up the block, but I don't think that's going to be necessary now. I wonder if the other one's like that. Alright, well, here's my other one. I've had it in my parts drawer forever. But look, it's still shiny. And this one worked great. I just haven't used it in years. I wonder what condition it's in inside. I wonder if it's anything like that. Let's find out. Actually, I don't even, yeah, I'll take these off. Yeah, you have to take these off because the screw goes into the copper base. That's what holds that whole assembly on there. So I can't separate that copper with that in there. There we go. Oh, I don't have to search for the right size. Ah, those are much easier to take out too. God, that stuff's ugh. I gotta say, that's kind of embarrassing. Now, if this one's good inside, I can already have the bracket to hold it in, so I could reuse it on my current system. Or I could use it in the VMware server, potentially. The fan, it's kind of loud, but it might be easier just to replace the fan instead of putting all the water cooling kit in there. Or maybe I will find somebody that wants it. Wink, wink. Alright, last one out. Let's see if we can get this one off without any major grief. Nope, this one's going to be tough too. Oh wow. Yeah, knocked the end of my blade off. Way to go, genius. This is going to be a good thumb detector. There it goes. So, we do have some... Wow, that one's completely clogged up. So it looks like it was sitting probably like that on its side with some water left over in there and just corroded and deposited like that. Yeah, that's on there good. There we go. So, but there's no real pitting. I think it just ate the copper. I don't think it touched the aluminum. So we're probably fine for using this one. I'll have to get more gasket material, or I could go straight to RTV with it. I'm sure a great many of you mechanics out there would love to punch me in the face for even suggesting that. But we're on a budget here. So let's test out this. I got the vinegar here. Toss this out. So what I'm going to do is put this in with a little bit of vinegar. See if the vinegar will clean up the copper. We'll put some in the top of our deal here. Enough to submerge it. There we go. And the copper's basically all under the surface there. If I can get... Yeah, that's actually working pretty good. There we go. Ugh. Got just a little bit on your lips, unpleasant. Oh yeah, you can see little bubbles on it, already. It's actually working pretty good to start breaking up that copper deposit. Yeah, I don't see any pitting whatsoever in there, so this one should be a much better candidate for reuse. Just gotta clean out the tubes a little bit better here. I don't know if that's bright blue only because of the copper, or if that's also the anodizing coating coming off with it. It's working pretty good. And who doesn't love the smell of vinegar? That's not bad. It's discolored, but there's no material. It's just a discoloration. So that shouldn't be a problem. See if we can't clean the copper up a little bit here. Yeah, that's cleaning up pretty good. Yeah, look at that. That perked it right up. Some little tiny deposits left in there, but nothing bad. Try to get the bristles down in there, get those crevices clean. Again, the copper deposits in the water are already making it turn a little bit blue. Ooh, got myself good there. Ooh. All right, so that's not bad. We got some of this all this paper gasket material left to get off. And it's copper, so we want to be careful with this. Don't want to gouge that surface too bad. You can probably flow enough gaskets there to make it work, but don't be that guy. Don't make gaskets out of our TV. There we go. Final bath. Get the rest of the crap off of it. Yeah, it ain't bad at all. So I think we can figure out what we're going to do for our gasket material, and then we'll just maybe put this back together. See, our top wasn't too bad. I'll let it soak a little bit in the vinegar, just see if this bottom layer comes off at all. So that's going almost all the way to the top, so it should clean most of that. If it's going to, it'll clean most of that. So we can save our old gasket material to use as a template if I can find some of the make your own gasket stuff. There we go. So macro mode kind of works okay. But man, yeah, now you get a really good look at it. You can see just these giant holes that the electrochemical reaction just ate all out of here. Man, that's really unfortunate. I really wanted to save this. It worked its way almost all the way to the outside there. And you can see where the hole is here. Yeah, there's the hole. Old bastard. Yeah, that wall is, well, that wall is pretty bad too. Yeah, you can see that, just there's giant holes in it. Now the water block and the copper deposits have turned the vinegar sufficiently blue. And it doesn't look like it's eating the anodizing. But it's still not coming off, so either the vinegar is not strong enough or it's just discoloration. Either way, it's not going to affect the function anyway, so it should be okay. But one thing I do want to do is I want to convert these to a pipe thread instead of this plastic ring thing, quick connect thingy. So I want to take this out, and I want to grab a tap set and see if we can't get this thing fitted for a larger MPT thread. That's only the die kit. Okay. Let's try this one. Yes. Tap and die set. Obviously, it gets a lot of use. There we go. Taps. Although this may not have one big enough. think that's the biggest one in there. Oh yeah. That fits inside just the plastic. Okay, so I don't have a tap big enough to fit that either. Well then. Well, another option is to try and get these plastic fittings out without damaging the fitting that they fit into. So I believe these have like razor blades that face in, so that once you push past, the blades will dig in if you try to pull them out. But maybe with the proper application of pressure we can get it off there. I guess we're going to start with the good old manual extraction, see if that goes anywhere. Nope, nothing doing. There we go. Sort of. Ah, there we go. So we just need the proper application of leverage. Well, at least until that point. If I can do it on this one. Yeah, there we go. So that does work. Ah, so you have to hold. Okay. Okay, I see how that works. Alright. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a couple little razor blades. You can kind of see them there. So once that little fitting, and you can actually see the line on it where the blades were digging in. Once that goes in there, it pushes past the blades easy because they point downhill. But you try to pull them back, digs into the plastic. But if you push this little collar in, it lets a little flare expand in the back. This thing slides right out. So that's good to know. There's a reaming on it. Ah, look at that. You just got to be smarter than the piece of plastic. So looking in there, everything looks like it's in good order. Again, I don't know if the camera's going to see it very well, but there's a tiny O-ring. If you can see it in here. It's just above where the hole is here. There's an O-ring inside the bore at the back. It's right there. You can see that not very well. But yeah, it's right there. So that's what's happening. And the O-ring actually still seems pliable. So we should be able to just put those right back in, and then the smooth shaft slides right past that O-ring and seals against that. And you can feel when it hits it too. Push it down till it seats. There we go. Look at that. And the vinegar destroyed my sticker on the outside, so that's too bad. Well, I think it'll be okay. So we'll just need to grab some gasket material, and then I can make a new gasket for this. Actually, not that one. That's the dead one. That's the good one. So I can either get some paper, basically just trace it and make my own paper gasket, or I could just put a boatload of RTV on it. And I really don't want to think about the comments I'm going to get if I do it with RTV. Alright, I've got the whole system apart here. We're just going to go over everything so you can see what I'm working with. So we have this little SwiftTech block. I don't remember the model, and I probably won't anytime soon. It's more of a universal design. It has a bracket that goes across here, and then hooks so that you can use different the brackets that mount to the motherboard for water cooling, or really big like copper heat sinks. It has claws that grab onto that and hold it. So this is a much heavier system than your stock heatsink and fan would be. All the fittings in the whole system are 1/2 inch. We've got is it Lang, whatever. Model number the D5-38. These are real popular with the DIY overclocking scene. They're reasonably affordable, good performance, very quiet, and as a bonus, they run on 12 volt. You get them on this little Molex connector. Obviously, this one's seen better days, but pretty much everything that I own has. Your water comes in this inlet here, gets spun around by the impeller, shot up this port here for the rest of your cooling system. Plastic tee, whatever. And then my dual 120 millimeter radiator. I actually bought this from a guy on an overclocking forum years ago, and it's worked out really well for me. It's never had a problem cooling anything. 1/2-inch barbs in that, nickel plated, so they haven't corroded or given me any guff. But the copper inside there isn't coated with anything, so I'm sure it's not in great shape. I'll try to get some chemical cleaner through that and see what it looks like after a day. I'll want to flush it out with the pressure washer, see what happens. Obviously, it's in a terrible state of maintenance, so that's entirely my bad. Feel free to tell me I'm a moron. I am, I know. You can see I used my steel, some scrap steel for this as well, to hold it to the bottom of the case. So the way this works is those straps bolt down to the bottom, holds the radiator in. And I used the coarse thread screws that I've used before. Well, these holes are designed for them anyway, so the hole is right there. It's just a matter of drilling a hole in the steel. Pretty easy, actually. Oh, as a bonus, the fans light up. Ooh! That's pretty much the gist of it. A lot of systems have a reservoir at the top, like a tube or a bowl, something like that. And that's where they fill it up. That's fine, but I don't see a need for it. The way I did it back in the day, and the way I've always done it, is you just put this T as close as you can to the top of your water tube, so the highest point in the case, with this facing up and a tube on the top. You can then fill this with your water, run the system, and your air will eventually bleed out. Since you're at the top of the system, it'll work its way out through the top. And then once you're done, you just cap this off whatever way you want to. Easy peasy, and there's not a big tank full of water just sitting there. It's actually a more contained system. I like it and prefer it. You can do whatever the hell you want. And then here's the little brackets that these guys are for the old AMD. I think this was for a K6. No, this is for the Athlon. This is for the Athlon socket. So socket A, right? Socket A, that sounds right. And then I've got the other brackets somewhere inside that are for the actual Intel boards. And when I get this thing put back together, I can show you that. But that's pretty much all the parts to this system, other than the tubes. It's 1/2-inch tubing. You've got your choices with vinyl. Tygon's popular. You can get solid color tubing. I like clear. It's just I can see the fluid level inside just in case it's getting gross or full or low or full, whatever the deal is. But try not to put too much colorant in it, because that will build up in your radiator, clog it up, makes kind of a goop inside, and it filters out in the water and ends up going mostly clear again, so you don't gain much. It'll also dye your tubing, so your tubing won't be clear and it'll change the hue, and it'll never look good forever, so don't try. Tygon's going to be a bit more of a it's a lot more flexible. You can bend the hell out of the vinyl, but it'll kink. The Tygon will stay round as it comes down, and it won't kink as easily. It also feels much softer to the touch. And then hose clamps. Accept no substitution. No zip ties. You can get those fancy Dragon clips, the screw-on compression fittings. They're okay, but you're going to spend a ton of money to do that. These are a couple bucks at the hardware store. So let's go with that. I think that's pretty much every component to here. I'll have to get some new tubing, and then I'll pick up some gasket material for the block. I can get that back together hopefully tomorrow, and then I'll be able to pressure test the system and see if it still holds. If it does, then you can see my big case and watch me swap it back into that. And then we can get back to doing actual car things once the computer's fixed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it an evening. Like I said, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, or if not, it'll be Friday when I can pick up some gasket material. As usual, feel free to leave any comments or questions in the comment section down at the bottom of your U pages. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep it running.